Alright, so we're checking out another new drone from DarwinFPV, and I think a few weeks back I posted something to my community page. I was speculating that DarwinFPV might be in trouble because they weren't responding to any of my messages, and I didn't know what was going on because I wanted to review that 5-inch drone, the Johnny FPV clone or copy, whatever that people were asking me to take a look at. However, they, instead of responding back to me about that drone, which they still won't let me review for some reason, they said, well, do you want to review this waterproof drone? I'm like, sure, why not? So it comes in different versions. I'll talk about there in a second. So anyway, I think my speculation on their demise is premature. This drone is kind of interesting and different, so we're going to do an unboxing and go over the drone in detail before we fly it. This is the packaging, pretty nice. Obviously here we got IP67 waterproof rating, auto flip in water. I think that just means that these floaties will flip the drone back over because obviously with the floaties up on top, it's not going to allow the drone to sit on top of it. I don't think that there's anything automatic in terms of turtle mode or anything like that. CNC heat dissipation. So I think the ESCs and the VTXs are in some sort of aluminum heatsink, and it says it's about 290 grams. This is the analog 6S version in green. It does come in other colors besides green, although with the name of Hulk, I'm not sure how orange or some other color would fit that scheme. So here's some more details and specs here on the back. They're claiming this is the world's only waterproof FPV drone. Not sure about that claim, but if you guys know of any other manufactured waterproof drones out there, that are FPV similar to this one, let me know in the comments below. I'm not aware of any offhand. Of course, there's lots of people that waterproof their own drones, of course. And of course, the reason you would want to get something like this is if you are flying around water, where you might possibly crash or fail safe. And I'm sure a lot of people that have done that have had that experience where they've had an unfortunate, unexpected fail safe, and you lose the drone in the water, and then it's going to be totally destroyed. Now, interestingly, they have a promotion video. DarwinFPV put a promotion video up where someone's flying in around like an ocean environment. I don't really think this is going to hold up that well in salt water. I'm not going to plan on testing that. I'm going to just do a pool test, just to show that it can go into water. But salt water is extremely corrosive. It's going to destroy the battery for sure, and if not cause a fire, it's pretty dangerous. So I'm not going to actually test that. But yeah, in case you do dunk this into salt water and you do recover it quickly and rinse it off in fresh water right away, there's a pretty good chance it'll survive, assuming it has a proper IP67 rating, and that's true. But anyway, let's just talk about the specs here before we open it up and look at it. So it's saying it's a squash dex frame, 220 millimeters motor to motor. It does come with an F411 flight controller with an MPU 6500 gyro, and this one is the 6S version. So these ESCs are new, 45 amps. This is an all-in-one flight controller inside some aluminum heat sinks, 3 to 6S. I haven't seen this one before. This is a new part. Built-in SPI Express LRS receiver. I don't know if it's 2.0 or 3.0. They didn't tell me, so I guess I'll find out. Hopefully it'll be 2.0 because I haven't upgraded anything to 3.0 yet. So there's an analog version, which is what I have. So they have basically Hulk waterproof cam. I'm not sure which cam that is, if they've taken an off-the-shelf cam or if they've waterproofed something generic. That I don't know. 600 milliwatt VTX, probably power switchable. HD version coming, walk snail avatar. They don't have that yet. It's not available yet. The analog version, I think, is $359, and you can add on some, obviously, additional stuff in the menus when you choose the product. And I don't know what the HD version cost is because it didn't show up on their site. Motors are 2204 and a half, 1750 kV. That's one I've got here, 6S. But if you want the 4S version, they're 2450 kV. Comes with a shebang, 4934 props. And they're recommending 1300 6S for this version here. And they're saying about 7 to 10 minute flight on the 1300 6S. There's the Weights here 290 without battery. With the 6S 1300, it's about 485. Okay, so here in the lid of the box is this card, and they're calling it the Hulk Care card. And it's not, I'm pretty sure they're putting it in all the boxes, but it's not active unless you buy the Hulk Care service when you buy the drone. That's what they've told me. It's also mentioned on the product page as well. It's $10, which is kind of not that much. It's probably worth getting anyway, but they're saying that if you do buy this and get the extra warranty, they're calling it Hulk Care, you can, if you kill the drone for whatever reason, say you do lose it in the ocean or and it dies, then you can buy another drone, up to 2 per year, for 75% of the cost of a full drone. So 75% of whatever you paid for that one. So if 360 and you pay 75% of that, then they'll send you another one, and that $10 gets you that opportunity 2 times. So it's probably worth it if you think you're going to be crashing in the water a lot, and just in case it gets destroyed. $10 versus, I think, 25% of 360 is at least $80. So $80-$90. So it's probably worth it just for the $10. That's what it says on the site. I didn't get a verification if that's actually how much all it costs. It seems like it's a pretty good deal if that's the case. It's only $9.99. It's kind of a no-brainer, and it's kind of a little bit of insurance and save you some money. And if you do kill 2 drones, that's probably like more than $150 of value there. So that's what there if you need it. But if you don't want to spend the $10, then of course if you kill it, then you have to pay full price for a whole new drone. So we got a couple extra floaties here, just sitting in the box. No prints on here. Here's the drone, and these have the floaties with the prints on it. And as you can see here, the floaties are on top. So this is the top of the drone, this is the bottom of the drone. The props are going to go on, and the motors are inverted, so the props are going to go on the bottom here. The thrust still points down, so don't put the props on upside down. I guess the props are upside down relative to the way the motor is, because the motor is inverted, but the thrust still goes down. 2204.5 motors, and pretty nice motors. Are fairly smooth. And untypical of Darwin FPV. They're known for their sort of budget, no frills builds, but this build is actually, I can just tell, looks a lot nicer than their typical models that they've had before. Not much flex in the frame. These aren't super powerful motors. 2204.5 motors aren't gonna win you any races or anything like that. This is more for capturing cinematic footage. They have a GoPro mount here, or they got the finger mounts here for your GoPro, and obviously you want to make sure that's waterproof. But the carbon, everything here, everything looks really nice compared to some of their previous models, surprisingly. Not sure how this works. I think there's a screw right here. Yeah, there's a screw there that goes to this little plastic piece that goes all the way through this floaty, which is foam, which the way it works, I think, is when it lands in the water, assuming that water level is like right here, it'll keep the drone afloat and keep your antennas. I think this is your VTX antenna here, and this here is your receiver antenna. So as long as the antenna's out of the water, that's what they're saying. So as long as it's above the level of the water, then you should be able to rearm it and take off. And if you do happen to land upside down like this, I'm assuming you could do turtle mode and flip it over, but I'm not sure if it'll just like auto flip over. Maybe because of the way the CG is. Yeah, it looks like I'm just holding it. It looks like it'll probably want to auto flip over just based on the CG, especially if there's a battery here as well. And then, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to test it out. But yeah, if it flips, as long as it flips over and the antenna, especially the receiver antenna, is exposed, you'll have a signal and you can take off again. But I think we got your video transmitter. It's in this nice little heatsink. You got your Darwin FPV logo there, and then the all-in-one flight controller. Basically, it's a F411 plus 45 amp Blue Jay EACs right there inside this aluminum heatsink case, and then the motor wires here are just soldered to the exposed pads for the motor wires to the ESC. But that's the other side here. Pretty nice, actually. So assuming it holds up and doesn't die when you dunk it in the pool. I think what I'm going to do is I'll fly it first, just to see how it flies before I do the water test, because obviously if I kill it and then we have no idea how it flies, it's kind of a dumb review. So I'm going to fly it first. I don't think you can put the battery on top. There's little slots here, but I don't know if that would be a good idea. Obviously, I think the battery pad's down here, and you got your slots for the battery strap, and then you have your XD60 over here. So the battery goes there, and then obviously it will plug in like so. You're probably going to want a longer lead in this case. I think the battery is going to go probably like this, front to back, not sideways. Yeah, so hopefully the lead won't have to be too long. Let's see what kind of batteries I've got. This is the camera. I have no idea what that is, but it's obviously in a case here. It's not metal. It's metal colored, but plastic. But I'm sure it's totally sealed, the electronics, obviously to maintain the waterproof rating. And you can see there it's DarwinFPV branded right there, but I have no idea what kind of camera that is. We'll see if the video quality is any good. And again, another look at you see this, these little details here. You just don't see that on the other drones that they've made that I haven't seen in the past. But yeah, just little details like this. Just looks like they've spent a little bit more time on the design and the build. The quality just seems a little bit better than usual. Alright, see what else is in the box here. Got your props. So it looks like a manual. So one side's in Chinese and the back side is in English. Pretty cool. Looks like a nice little explosion diagram of the drone. Got your wiring diagram for the all-in-one flight controller. Interesting. They have these plugs here for the different parts, but I'm not sure how waterproof that is. There has to be a certain level of waterproof there. And then they have a USB-C port there. I wonder how you get to that. Okay, so that's something I missed there. So you got there's the USB-C port kind of buried under there, and then there's a little plastic piece that's covering that port. But you can see that the plugs there for the different like the camera or etc. I don't see any. Doesn't seem like that's waterproofed. So not sure how that's going to hold up, because you have the plug for the VTX and plug for the camera, and there's some other plugs back there as well. And this is a prop nut tool. So I've never seen anything like this before. Kind of nice it's included. Okay, this must be the landing pad for the battery. So you're not going to be damaging your battery. So yeah, this battery strap goes through here, and then you're going to land on these feet here. So that's going to also raise up the drone a little bit. That's something I was worried about. I think this is probably the front, and that should give you a little bit more clearance for the props on takeoff. So definitely use this. A couple of DarwinFPV battery straps. And this is a tool set that's included. At least it was included in my box. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be included in everything. Check the product page. I might or might not be. I'm not 100% sure. But this is basically screwdriver set. And yeah, this is going to be, I actually have something like this already, but always comes in handy to have extra tools. Okay, you got some extra screws, and then these little discs there for the floaties, and additional plugs for other peripherals if you're going to, or accessories if you're going to attach this to the drone. And of course, you've got your stickers. Okay, so let's go see how this flies, and then we'll do a pool test. So this did come with a PID tune, out of the box. It's meant for a 1300 6S, but I could not get mine to fit. I'll show you here what that looks like on the battery tray. Mine were too long, so I went with a 1050 6S here. Just seeing how the tune is. It'll fly kind of slow. I'm not really sure what the video range is going to be like here. Analog, of course. It's very smooth. The tune is pretty good, even though it's only 1050. I think these are just standard rates. Yeah, they're just standard rates. So it doesn't have a ton of power. It's only a 2204. And I was wondering if these little pool floats would have an impact on air resistance. So when you fly it slow, it doesn't seem like it does anything. Let's fly it faster. This is loud. So if you don't want to attract attention, if you're one of those people that don't like drones that are super loud, this one isn't it. I'm not sure why it's so loud. I think it has something to do with the air flowing, the airflow coming from above the props, which is the pool noodles or the floaties. They're blocking some of that airflow, so it's probably not good for efficiency either. I'm sure the flight time is going to be affected. Obviously, you have these pool noodles on here because you're flying around. You're going to be flying around, water, and you might be crashing, but you still want to capture decent footage. Pretty loud. But it flies decent for the fact that it has these pool noodles on there. I was expecting a lot more turbulence, but not bad. Let's see what the HD footage looks like. I'm sure it's fine. Stabilized footage from the Go 2. Yeah, the motors definitely feel underpowered for this size. It is a bit on the heavier side. I'll put up the all-up weight here on the screen with the battery that I'm flying with. Definitely over 250 grams if you're wondering. Kind of wondering why they went with 2204s instead of like a 20, more of a traditional size 2207 or like a 2306. Yeah, prop wash handling is pretty good. Getting a little bit of I can hear the oscillations in the props, just a little bit. Just from the, from the video that I'm seeing in the analog feed, it is not bad, but I think this is not meant to be for racing. This is for cinematic footage, probably for slower flights in more dangerous areas where you might crash and lose it in the water, like a lake or something. Pool. Overall, very controllable. So I don't think that, at least with the pitching that this came with, the pool noodles are not at least causing any detrimental effects in terms of being able to fly it in this manner. It's just that it's underpowered, and I think they did that on purpose. Smaller motors are going to give you more flight time. and it's intended to be flown more slowly, not for racing or freestyle necessarily. So yeah, I think this pretty much concludes my thoughts on the flight footage. Let's do the pool test, the dunk test, see if it survives in water. All right, so now we're going to do the pool test. Going to dunk it in the water, also flip it upside down, see how it does. Okay, disarm it. You can get it to come back out. Disarm it again. All right, let's see how this, when it flips upside down, what happens. So you can see it'll auto flip back over. It has to do with the CG with the battery. This is what I expected. So if it's flipped over, no matter what where you land, it will right itself. And it's still powered on. All right, let's see if I can take it out of the water. Fly it around. No problem. So far it works. Passed the waterproof test.